never believed in ghosts. As a photographer, I always thought of myself as a man of reason and science. But that all changed one fateful evening when I decided to explore the old, abandoned hospital on the outskirts of town. The hospital had been closed for decades, a crumbling structure with broken windows and overgrown weeds. Local legends said it was haunted, but I didn't buy into those stories. I just wanted some eerie, atmospheric shots for my portfolio. I entered the hospital just as the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the dusty floors. The air was stale, and the silence was unsettling. I set up my camera and started taking pictures of the decaying hallways and empty rooms. Everything was going smoothly until I reached the 4th floor. In one of the rooms, I felt a sudden chill. It was strange, like the temperature had dropped by 10 degrees. Ignoring the goosebumps on my arms, I snapped a few shots of the room. That's when I saw it. A faint, ghostly figure in one of my photos. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, but when I looked closer, I could see the outline of a woman in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew what I had seen, but I couldn't believe it. I needed to know more. I spent the next few days researching the hospital, digging through old newspapers and records. I found out that the hospital had been the site of several unsolved murders in the 1950s. Nurses and patients had disappeared without a trace, and their bodies were never found. The more I learned, the more I felt drawn to the ghostly nurse. I was convinced she was trying to tell me something. Maybe she wanted justice for the crimes that had been committed. I felt a strange sense of responsibility, like it was up to me to solve the mystery. I returned to the hospital several times, hoping to see the apparition again. Each visit filled me with dread, but I couldn't stop myself. On my last visit, I brought a voice recorder, hoping to capture any sounds or messages from the ghost. As I walked through the dark hallways, I called out, asking for her name, asking what happened to her. Suddenly, the recorder crackled to life. A faint, whispering voice echoed through the static. "Help me. Find him." My hands shook as I played back the recording over and over. The voice was desperate, pleading. I knew I had to act quickly. The next full moon was only a week away, and I had a feeling that was my deadline. I pieced together the clues, following the trail of evidence from old police reports and witness statements. Everything pointed to a doctor who had worked at the hospital during the time of the murders. He had disappeared without a trace, and his whereabouts were unknown. With only a day left before the full moon, I discovered the doctor had a secret basement beneath the hospital. I found the entrance hidden behind a crumbling wall. My heart raced as I descended the dark, narrow stairs, flashlight in hand. The basement was cold and damp, filled with old medical equipment and forgotten files. In the corner, I saw a rusty door. Taking a deep breath, I pushed it open. Inside, I found a makeshift operating room, and there, on a dusty table, were the remains of the missing nurses and patients. I felt sick to my stomach, but I knew I had found what the ghost was seeking. I called the police and led them to the basement. They confirmed my findings, and the case was finally closed. On the night of the full moon, I returned to the hospital one last time. I stood in the room where I had first seen the ghost and waited. The air grew cold, and there she was, the ghostly nurse. She looked at me, her face calm and grateful. "Thank you," she whispered, before fading away into the darkness. I left the hospital that night, knowing I had done the right thing. But the memory of that place and the ghostly nurse would stay with me forever. A chilling reminder that some spirits just can't rest until justice is served.